Finally, we do advise on formal credit and learning, as mentioned earlier. That worldwide internship program for the students overseas, but also the courses offered here at the UW-Madison campus, which could be here on campus, but they could also be online courses, and those are for the students engaged in domestic opportunities, whether it's in Madison or in Neenah or in New York City. So the Worldwide Internship Program, that online course that I have been talking about for the overseas interns, leads back to that goal of trying to foster global competency amongst our students. This is really a goal for the university as a whole, not just our advisory board, but really trying to help students engage with our increasingly globalized society. So they have an understanding of what shapes culture and human experiences, and they can engage across cultures. So in the course, they are not focused so much on what they are doing specifically in their internship, but they use their internship as the lens through which to talk about working in this globalized world. So it's very much about culture and crossing cultures, and for example, when the students need to talk about communication styles, they will be asked to refer to experiences that they have had in their internship. This is a 3-credit class, and it counts on our campus also as a study abroad program. So the platform, as I said, is online, and it was designed so that the students are not just connecting from their overseas placement back to an instructor in Madison, but they're also asked to connect with each other. And this was very intentional. The design was made so that students have a better understanding not just of a bicultural interaction, not just being a U.S. student in France, for example, but that in the world today, there are very few businesses or organizations that are only working bilaterally. That you may have, as a company in Wisconsin, a supplier in China and a buyer in Brazil, and you need to understand how to work with those very diverse cultures and people around the world. So by having students connect on their experiences with each other, we're hoping we're giving them a little bit broader understanding of what it means to work across cultures. In terms of our funding here in the International Internship Program, I mentioned earlier the bulk of our funds that support our office come from the Madison Initiative for Undergraduates funding. If you're not familiar with this program, it was basically designed by former Chancellor Biddy Martin she encouraged students, or convinced students, to vote themselves a tuition surcharge or a tuition increase. So the students at UW-Madison pay higher tuition, but the funding goes towards need-based financial aid, half of it. The other half goes towards programs that the students themselves had some say in selecting. So as I indicated earlier, there was demand by students on our campus for something beyond traditional study abroad. And so they really are the ones that helped select and fund the program that we have. That funding really covers our supplies and expenses and salary for 2 of us. The UW Foundation is the arm of, it's not directly under the university, but it's associated with the university, and that's where that's the charitable arm that collects donations for scholarships and similar. So we do have a UW Foundation account, and we have had some very generous donors who've given us funding that has supported student scholarships. Most of those are for unpaid internships, however, abroad and in nonprofit areas, for example, and for students with significant financial need. Then we also get some funding from the online course that I've been talking about, and the program fees for that support both the instructors for the course as well as an additional new staff person and some of our travel and things like that. So the WEDC grants are not intended to support our office or our general operations. They're really supporting you, companies that are hosting interns. And the idea is that we will match funds that are expended by a company to host a paid intern. That intern can be here in the U.S. or overseas. The maximum is $4,000, and that's a match, so that would mean that if $8,000 were spent, we would match the $4,000. So the other maximum would be 50%. These should be new internships, not people, unfortunately, that we've worked with before, or the same internships that have been listed in our database previously. But it really is a goal to try and engage new companies. And WEDC has goals to help organizations around the state expand their global engagement. There's a particular interest in our manufacturing sector and trying to figure out how to expand the trade, the export, the investment, foreign direct investment in those organizations. The other side of it, of course, is to help develop global talent amongst our students. We have excellent students here at the UW-Madison, but they do need to have an opportunity to explore what the working world is like, to help them determine their career paths, and hopefully it will be in a company like yours here in the state. Really, the WEDC and those of us here at the UW, we would love to have our best and brightest stay in the state of Wisconsin. The priority is for small and mid-sized businesses, so fewer than 500 employees, and there must be a Wisconsin connection. So you may have an overseas headquarter, but if you're registered here in Wisconsin, you would be eligible for the grants. And ideally, as I said, the goal would be to train and retain the students. We would like to see opportunities that can think about this as a long interview for a student. So that's how a lot of companies think about internships, as a way to, in a relatively low-cost, low-risk way to try out a student. But we'd really like to see some opportunities that may result in a full-time hire post-graduation. And finally, we are aiming for diversity, and for us that means that the location of the company throughout the state we're hoping for a widespread response in terms of companies from all over. We'd like the internships also to be located in a variety of places, so whether it's in Green Bay or Stevens Point or Germany or Ghana, those would all be interesting opportunities. Finally, industry sector or student discipline. So we have students in everything from art history to zoology here on campus, and we'd like to see a variety of opportunities for our engineers, communication majors, history majors, and hopefully it's actually not the major that is what you're drawing upon, but the skills of the student. So we've been talking about international internship here for a while, but what exactly does that mean? As I mentioned, there are a variety of terms even used on our own campus to refer to very similar types of activities. So we have selected to follow the NACE guidelines. NACE is the National Association of Colleges and Employers, and the definition or guidelines that NACE has come up with are that the internship is the extension of the classroom. So the student must have some academic background in the area. We don't, for example, want perhaps an engineer going to teach English abroad unless that engineer really wants to be a professor of engineering and would like some teaching experience. the student can make that argument, that would be great. But we really need to try and link to their discipline that they're studying. A defined timeline. So an internship is not just an ongoing student job. There should be a defined start and end date. If it is extended, if it continues, for us that's success. That means the student has successfully completed the internship and is being offered a position, a part-time or full-time position following the internship. The job description should be clear as possible. Again, we ask for long lead time, so we know that in some cases there is some ambiguity to what the specific project would be, but the more detailed or clear the description is, the better the pool we think you'll get. Students want to know what they'll be doing, what the deliverables are on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, or what the project definition will be. It's important that there's a supervisor, because the supervisor is the one that can help the student succeed. And we hope that's a willing supervisor, not someone that has just been tasked with this person that is sitting there in the office for 38, 40 hours a week. We hope it's someone who is going to be engaged and really help the student meet their goals and help the student meet the goals of the company for the work that needs to be done. Then finally, we hope that we get feedback from that supervisor at the end of the internship. We also collect feedback from the student, but we have a survey that we ask of the supervisor to have a better understanding of how successful the student was in the experience and what they learned, also what they may still need to learn as they move forward in their academic career. So with that definition now in place, we're going to turn to the application for the grants. The application packet is available on our website, which is listed there. It is a downloadable PDF, and I will bring that up shortly and show that to you. But it's a PDF that allows you to save it and fill it in over time, so you don't need to sit down and do it all at once. Additionally, we have a packet of information on that website as well that gives you the sample application, and it gives you some guidelines as well. So there's a budget sheet, there's a timeline, and you are free to download those materials. But if you do, make sure that you when you're filling in the PDF, that you are using the one that has a submit button at the end. So we will look at that shortly, and I'll show you the right one.